So
Mhm.
we're going to start doing this every couple of weeks, and I'm going to have different topics that we're going to cover. Today, I thought we would focus on business planning, and I kind of wanted to keep it a little bit open for this one here, because I know with some of you, I've done some business planning. With Moises, we haven't had a chance to do that yet, but I thought we'd focus on, maybe I could answer some of the questions you guys are having with some of the business planning that you're working on right now, and then we can kind of put some measures in play. Aaron, how's it going? So Cameron, we've done some business planning together, and we kind of set your Q1 initiative. Do you want to maybe share kind of what's maybe working well for you right now?
Yeah, I think so. With really with our plan for Q1, the biggest thing that's been working really has just been implementing the plan, really. Essentially putting those goals in place for like the contacts for certain sphere, for certain contacts with some of the leads that we've got coming in, really just initializing it, and that's it. I think the real success is going to be, once we got a quarter, behind us, and then look at those results and then improve, and then I can really say at that point, I think.
Yeah. So for anybody most of you except Moises, you haven't had a chance to see it yet, but when we talk about goal planning, so it's important you set your big goals. Like, what is it you want to achieve? And what I like to do is I like to focus on one metric kind of per quarter. So outside of like the whirlwind of business that you're doing, what's kind of the one main thing that you're trying to push towards? So for our group right now, we're trying to focus on driving referrals. So that's like our Q1 initiative. And our goal is we set 60 referrals for Q1 is what we wanted to achieve for our team. Now, that's great and all, but what we did is we built a plan backwards from that. So how do we hit 60 referrals? So we started focusing on the measurable activities that we can control, track, and influence. So when you're creating a goal and you want to achieve it, it's really important that the things that you're doing are the things you have 100% control over, that are measurable, and that you can track them. So as an example, one of the things that our group is doing is everybody has joined a group. So whatever group that is, doing an activity. So for me, I play curling every Tuesday. That's my activity that I'm doing. One girl on our team, she's doing a yoga class. So she's in a yoga class with 30 other people. One person's playing ice hockey. So he's part of an ice hockey team. So everybody has different groups that they've joined. And the point being is that they're going to meet new people. So that was one of the initiatives. That's something we can all measure, we can track, and we can control. Well, here's the cool thing. We've already generated 2 referrals just from people doing activities. That's been pretty cool. And it's only been, 2-3 weeks that we've been running this. The next goal that we'd all set was we wanted to have 2 proactive, what we call coffees per week with people in our sphere of influence or past clients. So now instead of just having a conversation with a client and saying, oh yeah, we should do lunch sometime, we're actually going to book that and say, you know what, let's do lunch sometime. What does your schedule look like next week? And then we book it in. So that's something that we can all control, influence, and measure. So it's something that we're tracking. The third thing that our group has put together to help drive referrals is 100% discussion in our buyer consultations and our listing consultations about the importance of referrals in our business. And our goal being that we're going to provide you world-class value and service, where you're going to want to enthusiastically refer us to your friends and family before we even sell your house, or before we even help you buy a house. Again, that's something that we can influence, that we can control and measure. And then the next thing that we did is we have a minimum contact goal. So in order for our agents in our group to qualify for getting our inside sales agents to tee them prospects, they have to do a minimum of 15 contacts per week. And the goal is to kind of have a mix, that they would be dealing with past clients, people in their sphere, and then also working our internet leads. So there's a mix. That's sort of our plan that we're running in Q1. So instead of focusing on the number of referrals we want to generate, we're focusing on the things we can control and influence. And I can tell you right now, anytime I've set an insane goal for myself, it gets really stressful if all I do is focus on that end result. But if I start focusing on the things that I have 100% control over, it's amazing the confidence and the momentum you get, because you're just gradually moving your yardsticks forward. That's kind of the point of a plan and a goal. So when you set out a measurable goal, be very, very specific. The next thing that I've insisted everybody do is have everything documented in their calendar. So if it's not in your calendar, it never, ever happened. That's really, really key. So when you're making prospecting time and you put it in your calendar, you treat that the exact same way than if you had to make a market evaluation appointment. I mean, who here would miss a market evaluation appointment if you put it in your calendar? Not a single person. Who here has missed their prospecting time in their calendar? Right? Because you don't respect the time the same way. You have to respect that time the same way that you would a market evaluation, because that prospecting time is what's going to make sure you don't have valleys in your business, because there's peaks and valleys in this business, as anybody knows, but most of it is because you have been inconsistent in your activities. So the point of being proactive on a regular basis, at least 5 days a week is what I coach to, is it's going to keep your pipeline full and busy. And there really is no excuse for why people miss important times. It's just, you just don't place it as a priority. So let's talk about some of the hurdles maybe that you guys are facing with your goal planning, or why maybe your goal planning hasn't gone the way you've wanted it to in the past. Open forum for anybody. Don't all talk at once. Travis, I'm going to put you on the spot, dude.
I knew that was coming. So actually for this year, we had our last meeting there in your office there, and I have been hitting my what's the word I'm looking for?
Your activities?
My activities, thank you. I've been hitting my activities. What I did that I found really helpful is, because we did the 5 thoughtful cards. Yep. What I did on last Thursday, I went to the London Drugs there and picked up $500 with the $10 gift cards. That way I have it in the office. My office manager has it there. We have cards set out already, and I just do a quick handwritten note, and I already have a list of people for the next 3 weeks that I'm going to send these 5 cards to. So I already have it, and it's super generic. Basically what I wrote is, hey, so-and-so, thank you for the business in the past. It was a pleasure working with you. I hope we can do business in the future with either you or your friends and family. And just left it at that with a little gift card, a couple scratch and wins, mailed out. I haven't got any feedback from those yet. They probably haven't received those first 5 yet, but I'm going to be doing that every single Friday for the foreseeable future until I see results. And once I see results, I'll probably ramp it up even more, to be honest. And also been just going to my phone and just texting a bunch of people, getting good feedback, and just straight up asking for referrals from clients that I've known, that I've had really good experiences with. That I know they won't be like, oh, why is he asking for a referral? But I just check in quickly. How's everything going? Then I just say, hey, I don't know if you know anyone looking for a house right now, but if you do hear anyone, please, it'd mean a lot if you sent them my way. And they're like, yeah, no, for sure. Then I'm like, also, while you're at it, do you mind leaving a review for me on my Facebook page? I'm like, yeah, 100%. And I've got 3 reviews on my Facebook page in the last week. So nice. I'm definitely seeing some positive outcome from all that. But my actual personal business goals, I haven't actually set out yet. And that's kind of, January just got away from me for whatever reason. I'm not even that busy, but time's flown by. But those measurable activities have definitely been beneficial in a short period of time.
Yeah, perfect. I love that. So for you to get your handwritten cards done every Friday, is that booked into your calendar?
Yes, it is. I'll actually show you right now. Google Calendar is a lifesaver. And what I find helpful as well, actually, is in bed before night, my girl thinks I'm crazy, but I'll be like, hey, Siri, set a reminder to do this. And I just have like 6 reminders that won't leave my computer until I do them. So I find that very helpful as well. But I'm just gonna go to my Friday here. Yeah, I don't know if you guys can see that, but 5 thoughtful cards is right in that little box there.
Nice.
So it's there from 9 a.m. till 11 a.m., which is a little bit long. Actually, no, it's 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. Sorry.
Okay,
it takes about a half hour to do. Yeah.
So question for you, Travis. I want to see a house Friday at 10 o'clock. Can you show me a house?
Can I what?
Friday at 10 o'clock. Can you show me this house I want to see?
I'm available at 9 or 10:30.
Okay. This is because you got something else going on at 10?
Yeah, I do. I got another appointment. So.
Okay. Yeah, perfect. And so you can see it at 10:30 or 11?
11 would be ideal. If that works for you, I can make 11 work for sure, if that works.
Okay, perfect.
Yeah.
So I'm challenging you guys, because here's the thing. You're going to put these things in your calendar, but as soon as somebody's like, oh, hey, can you do this at this time? Most of you are just going to jump up and be like, absolutely, yeah, I'll show it. And then boom, that activity never happens. Where it's so simple, you can say, you know what, I'd love to show you that property, Travis, at that time. However, I already have an appointment booked. So would 9 o'clock work better for you? Or could we push it to maybe 11:30? Give them alternatives. People understand you're a professional and you need to treat your time and yourself like a professional. Just because they ask doesn't mean that that's the only time that they have available. And you treat your personal time that you have booked for yourself, time with your spouse, everything needs to be treated like the most important appointment that you won't miss. So treat it the exact same way you would a market evaluation that you book for yourself. because you wouldn't miss that appointment. If you booked it in, you're going to be there. We'll do the same thing. Now, one tip I'm going to give you guys, this is going to help you in your personal lives, is start when you're prioritizing your calendar, and everything that you do in your life should be in your calendar, like the stuff that you're doing, the activities. Start this way, okay? Family stuff that you need to do. So if you're in a relationship, make sure that once a week you plan a date with your spouse. I don't care if it's cooking at home, but where you have 2 hours a week dedicated to your spouse, and 100% of your time goes into that. Okay, so make sure that you're putting that in your calendar and you treat that the exact same way you would a market evaluation. Start with that once a week. I promise you this will change. If you're married, it'll change your marriage. If you're in a relationship, I promise you it'll change your life. The second thing is your important appointments. So I know Travis plays hockey. Travis, when do you play hockey?
Friday and Sunday nights.
Okay. You need to have that time blocked off in your calendar, because that is time, A, you're going to be connecting with the guys. B, you're doing something healthy for yourself, which keeps your mind fresh, makes you feel good, right? So make sure that that time's blocked in there, and then you don't miss it, because you're letting down your team if you don't show up, right? So I'm pretty sure you probably make those games almost every time, unless you're completely sick. Fair to say?
Yeah, 100%. Or too many beers I have to work on a Friday.
So plan your life, plan that, and then start putting in your business goals. If you go to the gym, I know Cameron, you've been working on quite a physique. By the way, this guy looks like he's from the movie Gladiator, if you ever seen him. So basically, you got to have your time blocked into the gym. So what times are you going to the gym?
It's usually 4:15 to about 5:15, like 3 or 4 days a week. I do have that scheduled out. I have a partner I work out with, so that's a huge thing, or a huge reason why I don't miss those times, because I kind of have someone I'm that's looking forward to me being there or needing me there too at the same time. So that helps. And I definitely think that I need to time block more. Like basically, I time block appointments and certain things. I've been time blocking my calls now. To, like we talked about, trying to keep that time dedicated to make sure those tasks are done. But there's even more things. I really need to just time block like literally every day with no gaps whatsoever, I think.
The thing, if you learn how to use your calendar, you will actually work smarter, not harder, and you'll actually spend less time floundering. So anybody here dealing with some stressful transactions? Anybody?
Mine are all done, thankfully.
Yeah, okay. Anybody have important issues that they're going on in their life that they need to deal with? Here's a strategy, okay? So when you have a bunch of things that you're juggling all at once and it's really weighing on you, take each one and block them into your calendar. Pick specific times where you're going to address specific concerns and issues and plan it out. That way you can take it off your mind and you've got it put in your calendar, and then you've dedicated time specifically to obsess about it during that time and deal with it. And then you've compartmentalized things. Very, very important. It's a strategy that I've had to incorporate. Now that I'm coaching and that I have teams and stuff that I'm working with, I have to do that. If I don't do that, then it's going to stress me out. So book in specific time.
Do you mean for like if there's like one particular transaction or like situation that's bothering you, like put that on the calendar, or do you mean like dedicate like a time to deal with fires or whatever?
So if you have a problem deal right now that just requires your attention, instead of having that completely screw up your entire day, book in an hour to deal with that specifically. So look in your calendar. If you're available 11 to 12, you book in an hour specifically to deal with that, and you deal with nothing else. And you just handle things like that. So you're always giving 100% focus to the things that you're doing, because people can tell when you're not focused on them, right? Or you can see an impact and you're not as efficient if you're trying to do 5 things at once. So I find actually booking in the time to deal with it will make a huge difference. Moises, good to meet you, by the way. Can you hear me? I can't hear you, unfortunately. Aaron, you're sitting there with
Can you hear me now?
Oh, yeah, I can hear you now.
All right, cool. Sorry about that.
No worries. But can you kind of like relate to some of this stuff?
Yes, definitely. I know we haven't really gotten a chance to talk yet, but I have a kind of interesting business setup. I run the property management right next to a sales division, and in between there we flip homes. So it can get pretty interesting sometimes.
That could be crazy.
And we have like and we have our own rental property, so yeah, it can get a little crazy.
So how do you manage that time?
For the most part, like I learned the hard way, similar to what you mentioned, where I ended up kind of like time blocking my management side, which I normally do in the mornings, and then the sales side and shutting down fires I do, the rest of the day essentially. But the reason why I came in here is because I wanted to perfect, I guess, that sales side, because it's always been like kind of left on the side, and to some extent, so I want to build processes and stuff to build it up.
Nice. I love it. So my biggest tip, guys, is if you're not living by your calendar and every decision you make on appointments isn't based on this, then you're going to miss opportunities. Aaron, we had a little tough love recently, right? He had booked an appointment with me. He booked an appointment with me, and then last minute he's like, "Oh, I can't make the appointment. I'm going to be picking up my daughter." And then so we had a little chat about it afterwards, and I was like, "Look, man, I get it. You got to pick up your daughter. That's a really important appointment. However, if you've committed a time to me and then you're flaking out, what does that say about me?" Right? That says that I'm not important enough, or you don't place value on that. So we talked about it, and really what it came down to is he just didn't have everything scheduled in his calendar. If he had picking up daughter during a certain time in his calendar, that would have never come up, because he would have looked at it and look, I can't actually commit to that time. He would have committed to a time that he could actually follow through on. And so hopefully, Aaron, from our conversation now, you're being very deliberate about putting the things in your calendar that are most important, and start with, again, family, like picking up your daughter. And when you have time with your daughter, that needs to be blocked off. And that's where you're not doing anything else. And then time for yourself when you're running Aaron runs a karate academy, right? So you're not going to miss being there. You're the leader. So that's probably got to be in your calendar. So treat everything else in there, and then as well as your business appointments. And then I think you're going to find you're going to be a lot more efficient, and you'll get things done. Because that day we could have had a great training session and you could have picked up your daughter. But now we missed that, right? You were able to pick up your daughter, but we missed that session, which got delayed now for a couple of weeks. So, again, if you can just become more efficient, you're not going to have to work harder. You can work smarter. And so that's the one thing. So when you're goal planning, set the big initiative. What is it that you want to achieve? And then work backwards and focus on the measurable things. And the three things here: it has to be something 100% you can influence. You have to be able to measure it, and it has to be trackable. If you're not able to do those three things, then it's not a measurable activity, and you can't control it. And you'll feel empowered all the time, because you're always going to be doing things that you can control. And that'll give you confidence. Good market, bad market, having a good day, bad day, you can control the output. You can control the things that you're doing. And I think that's one key thing with goal setting. And then actually another one, and it's proven statistically, is have a board up with your goals that you're seeing in your face every day. And I'll share a little story with you. I haven't actually shared this with any of you. About 5 years ago, I was at my lowest point financially. I was about, I hate to say this, but after going through a divorce and everything else, I was about $80,000 in the hole. And I'd always had a six-figure net worth since the age of about 26 that I'd built up myself. And now here I found myself with a negative $80,000 net worth. And I remember at the time thinking in my head, like, I want to get myself out of this. And this sounds crazy, but anybody that's been through my house would have seen it. We actually posted at multiple places in our house a check for $1 million. Somehow I was going to figure out a way to earn that type of income. I didn't know how at the time, because I was at such a low point. I had no clue how I was going to do it, but I actually had that all over the place. And I wrote down some specific goals, income goals for myself, and I tucked it away. Well, I can say 5 years later, I've been able to gross over $1 million for the last 3 years. Now I don't net $1 million, but I've been able to gross over $1 million, and I've been able to go from a negative $80,000 net worth to a 7-figure net worth in 5 years. And now, did I put a lot of hard work? Absolutely. Did I visualize and see my goals? Absolutely. But I created measurable activities in my life that I could 100% control. So I had full control of changing my circumstance. I never blamed anybody else for the circumstance that I was in. I didn't point fingers at anybody else. I always pointed the fingers right back here at myself. And I will suggest you do that. If you go in a listing presentation, you don't get the listing, don't blame the client or don't create an excuse. Point the finger at yourself. What could I have done differently? Break down your process that you had with your listing presentation and look for the opportunity where maybe you could tighten up an area. Same thing when you're working with a buyer. If something doesn't go your way, don't blame an outside circumstance. Blame yourself. Figure out what you could do differently. Doesn't mean you're going to have 100% success rate ever, because you're not, but it means that you have something you can control that now you can make an influence and impact next time. Anytime I lose a listing presentation, what I do, my process is I go back and I call it the lab, but our office, and I'll sit down generally with probably Jamie Wicks, one of my business partners, inside sales agents, and we'll sit down and we'll break down my process. And then him and I together will diagnose where I went wrong. And then it'll give me confidence on the next appointment. And so I suggest you guys find somebody in your life that you can do that with, where you can have those appointments, and always point the finger here. That's kind of my little tip with your goal setting. But it's amazing, like the power of thinking big and setting big goals and not being afraid to put that out there. It will change like your mind, the way you think, the way you act. You'll start thinking in abundance versus trying to be coming from a place of scarcity, which is something that I see a lot of people do. So I hope this gives you guys a little bit of, just a little nugget to take forwards. But again, I'm open to questions. So for any question that you have about anything. Travis.
So that $1 million check idea, is that from The Secret?
Yeah.
I knew it.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was like, that rings a bell. Yeah. No, I actually gotta reread that book. We actually just got our that book that you recommended we read. We just got them all in the mail yesterday. So
The Go-Giver?
I'm gonna start that tonight.
Yeah, great book. I've got another book. Once you read that one, I'd love to hear your thoughts on it. But if you haven't read The Go-Giver, guys, I would. And then I've got another really good book that I'm reading right now that so far, I'm 30 pages in, but it's really great. It's The Power of Thinking Big. It's the book. So it's The Power of Thinking Big. So that's great.
Yeah, I got 5 books I got to read right now. So
yeah, awesome. Thanks for sharing that. What other questions? Anybody else have questions about sort of business planning or, anything really?
Do you have a template for actual business planning? Like,
yeah.
Okay, could I get that email to me?
Yeah, here, I'll show you right now too.
Because I got to get on that, and it helped me last year. I pretty well hit my goals last year from that. So I don't know if it was from that, but I'm sure it helped.
Well, it's good to have a plan, right? Obviously it's the activities you do, but if you know exactly what you're working on, it's amazing how that will fast track the results you're wanting, right? So can everybody see my screen?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's a SWOT analysis. So that's something you can do in your business, but that's not the one I want to show you. I want to show you this one. Business plan. Super, super simple, but this is a one-page business plan. This is sort of what I built my business off of, and that's still what I use to this day. So what I focus on, okay, what are my marketing pillars? So where am I getting my business from? So for me, there's 3. There's social media, referrals, and internet leads. Those are 3 areas that I drive my business from. Skills training. What are the areas that I need to work on? So some of my skills training areas could be being a better leader, finding better people to help me leverage some areas of my business where I'm weak. So you can develop exactly where your skills opportunities are, and you could put them on your tracker. And then your measurable activities. What are the things that I'm doing that, again, I can 100% control, influence, and track and measure? Those are the things that are going to drive the results that I'm looking for. And then my why. What's my why? Why do I do this business? So my why shifted. When I started the business, I needed to get myself out of the situation that I was in. I had to get things turned around. I had a 3rd kid on the way, and I was broke. I hate to say it, guys, but I was at a really low point in my life then. And I was the only person that was going to get myself out of it. So my why then was to be able to provide for my family. Once I was able to get myself out of that situation and create an abundance in my life, my next goal was to create abundance for all the people that work with me. How can I make a meaningful impact to the people that I'm working with? So my why today has shifted. Now, the importance of the why is if you have a purpose and you know why you're doing things, when things get really tough and you feel like you just took a punch to the gut, it keeps you pushing forwards. It keeps you motivated. It keeps you laser focused on the things that are important to you. But when you don't have a purpose and you don't have a why, it's really hard to get up in the morning. And so for me, that's really been important, is to always know why I'm doing what I'm doing. And then I set my 1-year goal and then my 5-year goal. So I always know what I'm looking to work towards now. And then I'm always thinking 5 years down the road, what are we building towards? What does the future look like? Start with the end in mind. When I started my business, I actually started with the end in mind. My goal was to exit production within 5 years so that I can build this coaching company so that I can give back to my agents. And I was able to do that in 3.5 years. So that was, again, a very purposeful thing that I'd created in my life. So if you don't have a 1-year goal and a 5-year goal that you're working towards, I'd challenge you to step back and start thinking of what those big goals that you want in your life write them down, put them on your board so you can see them every day, and then build your plan around the measurable activities that you can influence and control. Super critical. And it's as simple as this. Too many times people try and have like a 50-page business plan that's confusing. Like your plan should be so easy that a 5-year-old could look at it and be like, you know what? Yeah, I can do this. And that's the way you should build your plan. So just to keep it simple. So does everybody have a copy of the 1-page plan?
Yep.
No? Travis, you don't?
No.
Okay, I'll send you a copy. If you don't have a copy, just shoot me a message and I'll send you a copy of this. But really easy and something that we did work through with some of you last year. Go back and relook at your business plan. Things maybe have shifted a little bit, so go ahead and make some adjustments, but always have this document close by so that you can review it periodically and remember, okay, what are the things that I'm working on? When you're getting stressed out or you're like, oh, I don't know what I need to focus on, go back to your measurable activities. Always go back to those measurable activities because those are things you can 100% control. Have a good conversation with somebody and all of a sudden your whole mindset will shift, right? But don't sit there in paralysis being like, oh my God, I don't know what to do. Well, yeah, you do know what to do. Do the measurable activities you set out for yourself. And if you're like, look, I have capacity in my schedule, double your activities, triple your activities, just do more of it, right? It's like the whole 10X scenario. When I started, I had a headset on and I remember pacing the halls of the Remax brokerage I was at and get noise complaints, but I was like on the phones prospecting and making things happen. Like I literally, that's what I spent most of my day. If I wasn't in appointments with buyers and sellers, I was on the phones, I was texting, emailing, bomb videoing, and that's all I did during my work hours. And I was able to build a massive business quite quickly because I was doing income producing activities. This business rewards action. It does not reward paralysis. So people that overanalyze and overthink, they really struggle, I find, in real estate. You have to be somebody that's willing to take action and just go for it. You're better off making little mistakes along the way and learning than just not making any mistakes at all and trying to be perfect. Because what happens is you'll get lapped by someone like me who's maybe not even as smart as you, but is very action focused. So there you go. That's my little soapbox speech for you guys. Anybody else with questions? What other questions you have? No, pretty straightforward.
It's like ABC, but you just got to put it together.
ABC. So start with your calendar, create your plan, and then just work on the things you can control. It's like if you're trying to lose weight, right? I mean, you have to eat properly. So create a nutrition plan. Be specific about when you're going to eat what, when you're going to the gym. Be specific, put it in your calendar, and then just fucking do it. Pardon my French, but just do it. You know, there's no excuses. The only excuses are the ones you make to just make yourself feel better. And everybody does it, right? But if you just start realizing that everything in your life you can control and you think that way, you'll have more success. You really have to believe like, I can control my destiny. I can control the things that I do, and point the finger at yourself. And I know that's tough sometimes because it feels so much better to be a victim at times, right? Have anybody here had a victim person in their life? Somebody that's always complaining about everything? Yeah. Does it drive you crazy?
Yep.
It drives me crazy. I have a hard time with those people. Like, oh, woe is me. And like, you know, everything's just worst case scenario. It's so negative. And then they wonder why they're not successful in their life. Well, it's your mindset. Fix your mindset and you can probably get back on track.
Those people usually aren't in my life very long anymore. I mean, if they continue to see being negative, I try to distance myself from them because it's just a waste of energy, really.
Yeah.
Easier said than done, right?
Sometimes it's tough. Sometimes it's your own family.
Yeah.
That's tough, right? Sometimes it's your own family, and it's not easy to just kind of realize, like, look, you know, I love my dad, but my dad he's kind of a pessimist, and he's not somebody that's going to help me achieve some of the financial goals I have because he doesn't think that way. So I'm able to say, look, he's my dad and I love him and I have a relationship with him. But when it comes to business advice, he's not the guy that I go to. He's not going to be my mentor. So always qualify the people in your life and know that everybody has a superpower. Just figure out what that superpower is, but you don't have to look up to somebody for everything. Too many times, you know, listening to family can actually be a real big detriment to your success. If I'd listened to my family members, when I told them the crazy journey that I was going on in real estate and the crazy goals that I'd set for myself, they told me I was nuts. And, you know, they just said, oh, that's not realistic. And I was like, well, let me fucking show you. So I didn't say anything. I just took action. and I just started focusing on the things I could control. And I didn't rub it in their face, because I didn't have to say a single thing. The most gratifying thing I will tell you guys is when those haters or those people that doubt you all of a sudden realize, and you don't have to say anything, and they're just like, wow, you're not just a talker, you actually walk the walk too. It's the best feeling, because you never have to rub it in their face. You don't have to say a single word. You know, you just know that you did it, and it was through hard work, and it's through action. That's all I can say is take that action. One thing, everybody struggles with accountability. Any thoughts on what you guys are doing to help keep yourselves accountable to doing these goals and measurable activities? What sort of processes have you put into play, Cameron? How about you? What are you doing to keep yourself accountable and moving forward?
Mainly time blocking.
Yeah.
And I can tell, like, the things that maybe I'm not doing, like some of my social media posts I was working on, those were slipping through the cracks, and I'm realizing I don't have those on my calendar to actually, work on those at a specific period of time. So I was way more, focused on the leads and calling and things like that, but, neglecting the other things that are also on the plan,
Right. How do you push yourself? I mean, you go to the gym religiously, and you've had to be very disciplined with your nutrition. How do you keep yourself motivated to do that every day? Because there's got to be days where it's tough to get up that early and go to the gym.
Yeah, well, actually, when I said 4, it's actually afternoon, so it's a little bit later in the day. But
okay.
Yeah, I think that if we're talking about like gym stuff, over time, I don't think I look at it as like something I have to do. It's kind of a thing that I enjoy the process and enjoy, being there, instead of thinking, oh, this is something I have to go do. Right. So maybe that's maybe that's an idea. And I don't even know if I would even call it a passion. It's just something where it's like, I feel like I kind of just, enjoy being at the gym for a bit, not forever, but for that time I'm there. It doesn't seem like, oh, I'm just ready to go and just get this over with. I'm not trying to just get it over with. It's like I enjoy kind of the process. And it sounds like maybe something that I could work on, like applying that more towards other aspects in the business, calling people, maybe finding that, what I like about that, versus thinking of it as like let me just go do these couple hours of calls here real quick. And,
I love that. And I think you've tapped into something there, like mindset and how you look at things is important, right? If you're looking at like, I'm excited to go to the gym because I'm enjoying the process and the hard work and the grind, you're going to go into it with a totally different mindset, and you're going to have a way better workout than if you're just like, ugh, I just want to get this over with and go home. Right. Because that's not sustainable. And so a lot of you are probably looking at some of these income producing activities as like a chore, and not something that you're genuinely excited about. I'm genuinely curious about people and finding hidden opportunities and uncovering new needs that I didn't know about. So when I was prospecting, I had a lot of fun with that. And the way that we teach you guys is just like to really uncover those needs that are below the surface that you don't see. So for me, it was just always a challenge. I always enjoyed taking somebody who was very reluctant at first, and then being able to open them up, and then eventually doing business with them, or taking a detractor and turning them into an advocate. So I always enjoyed those parts of it. So that's a good observation there, is enjoy the way you're building your business. Travis, how about you, man? How do you get up for those days where you don't want to, go and grind out this business? Because there's days where that happens. What do you do?
It's interesting. I had quite a down day yesterday. Just mental. I just wasn't feeling like I couldn't make calls. I just didn't want to talk to anyone. Actually, the client canceled on me, and I was actually pretty happy about it, which those days are very, very rare for me. Normally it's the other aspect where I want to talk to everyone. But I have a routine I like to do every morning. I get up at 5, usually do an hour of emails. And then the gym is, I go to the gym every single morning, or 6 days a week. So I usually go from 6:30 till 7:30ish every morning. And I find that kind of just rolls me right into my day. And I like to stack appointments in the morning if possible, that kind of get me into it and get communicating to people and really feel like I'm actually being a real estate agent. Right. It may sound kind of funny, but if I actually get myself into an appointment first thing in the morning, showing a property or with a new client, I feel like it sets my day up quite well for success, and it starts off on a positive note. And then from there, I can kind of just hopefully pick up the phone and make some phone calls and do my actions.
Yeah, nice.
I find that very helpful. Starting with a really positive, something you can control, right? So like if you already have a buyer that you've shown properties to, You know, like it's something that you get a grasp of and know that you're going to come out of it feeling good.
Yeah, get a quick win.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, and you must feel so much better too when you've worked out. Like the endorphin rush that you get after doing a workout, it's amazing. It translates so well. The days where I go and do kickboxing, so I do kickboxing Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays, are the days where I get the biggest endorphin rush. And it just like, I feel like I'm sharper on my calls. I feel like I'm sharper in my business. I feel better. My energy levels are higher. So if you're not putting in time for yourself personally right now, I would encourage you to take that as one thing away and start putting time for yourself, where even if it's just going for a walk for half an hour, put some music in and just go for a walk, go for a hike, do something. But it's amazing how that will help your whole mindset. Hey, Aaron, what about you, man? What do you do to kind of get yourself up on the days where you're kind of like, shit, man, I don't know if I got it in me today?
Those days happen, definitely. I think for me, it's being a single dad and having a teenage daughter. It's sort of it's do or die, and you just gotta, you know, getting her ready for school, getting her up in the morning is interesting. So it's sort of it's funny, Travis, that you say that. You start out everything on such a positive note, and I really appreciate that. And I'm going to try to guide or use that advice in some way as well. But I find my mornings are a bit of a struggle. Teenage daughter, getting ready for school, making lunches, you know, getting things in order. By the time I'm done with the school drop off, 9:30 sort of deal. And then, you know, I sit down and I'm prospecting and I'm just sort of having to go, okay, how many no's are we going to get here? But as soon as I get that one yes, it totally flips everything around. And so I find my mornings, I struggle. And then when the prospecting starts at 9:30, 10 o'clock, and I find that a struggle. But as soon as I get that one yes, things start to shift around, and then it takes her out the rest of my day. And then I do the school pickup, and then I do the karate thing and whatnot. But so I have to really work on the morning thing. And I really appreciate Travis's morning routine. And I'd like to amalgamate that into my life now.
What about this, Aaron? If you say like calling the prospects that you already know that you're working with, that we're working with. If anyone doesn't know, Aaron and I work on the same team together. Calling the prospects that you know are gonna have you're gonna have a good conversation with, one that I've already shown properties to, but you're just checking in on, right? Like something like that, like a couple phone calls where you know they're gonna be very positive, and you're gonna come out of them feeling very, very good, right? And then you hit the hard ones after that with a really positive mindset. And I bet you're gonna have a lot more positive phone calls because they can feel it in your voice, right?
Yeah, and you know, and this is golden, guys. This is golden. So I'm really appreciating everything that you guys are saying. So starting tomorrow morning, I'm going to do that, Travis, and see where it takes me.
Another tip I'll give you, Aaron, is what time are you getting up in the morning?
About 6:45, 7.
So maybe if you can get up an hour earlier in your day, and then again be deliberate. So I'm up at 6. From 6 to 6:30, I'm going to make lunches, have a little coffee, kind of settle into my morning. From 6:30 to 7, maybe you're doing yoga or meditating or whatever you like to do. I don't know, but get a routine going. Maybe take an hour, start an hour earlier in your day, so that not everything's not just like all a big panic and rush. Because I could just picture your morning just being this chaos right now. And it's not deliberate. So give yourself an extra hour. So if that means you go to bed an hour earlier to get an hour earlier in the morning, you'll gain a lot just by being up early. It changes everything, man. The days where you're not in that whirlwind and you kind of feel like, all right, I'm in control of things, not reacting to everything, which is something that you struggle with. A lot of people do, but they're generally reacting to their day instead of like tackling the day proactively on every single thing. I think that'll help you. So that would be another little tip that I would throw into the mix. So guys, we're going to be doing stuff like this every 2 weeks, and I'm going to have different topics every time. I am going to record them, but I hope that you guys, every time get something small. It's not about rocket science every time. It's just about something small that you can take away. So I'm just going to ask everybody, what's the one thing you're taking away from our little call today? And I guess I'll start with you, Aaron, since I just put you on the spot.
Well, I think just the organizing in the morning and starting the day off with a little less panic and a little less rush. a little more focused. And then as we talked before, Jason, a couple days ago, calendar. I'm going to start booking everything in my calendar, just even simple things like grocery shopping. Just start to get used to that.
Yeah, that'll change everything, man. You'll have, all of a sudden you'll have time for things that you felt like you didn't have before. Travis, what about you, man? What's one thing you're going to take away from the call today?
Holding myself accountable to my personal appointments. Not so much the gym and stuff, 'cause that's easy for me, but more the prospecting. And this has been a battle for me. For my 19 months I've been in the business, it's been my number one battle, is holding myself accountable to that. So I really just have to hold myself accountable, because I know I'd bring my business to the next level, where I want it to be. But it's for whatever reason, it's the hardest thing for me to do.
Right.
It's very, very hard.
Treat it just like the gym. You're going to the gym. You don't miss the gym. You're not going to miss that time. It's in your calendar. Just respect it, right? And if it means you take it from a 2-hour window right now to an hour window, but you'll actually hammer out that hour, it's better than having it in there and then skipping it. Yeah. Right. So
I'm going to start a half hour. Honestly, I'm going to start a half hour and work my way up as I get more comfortable in that. Right. So. Yeah.
Cool. Moise, what about you? What's one thing you're going to take away today?
So believe it or not, I'm really good at putting everything in the calendar, but I really suck at keeping myself accountable to it. So I'm always shifting everything to the next day or the next hour. So that's definitely something that I got to do. I'll try to do my best to keep accountable.
Awesome. And a simple thing too, it's like if you're in an appointment and you have an hour booked for that appointment, just let the person know, hey, Moise, just so you know, I have an entire hour booked for a meeting today. I have to leave at 12 o'clock. So at 12 o'clock, our meeting's going to have to end, but I'm like all yours for the next hour. And then put a little timer on your watch so that at 5 minutes before 12, your alarm goes off.
True. Yeah. Yeah. That's super helpful, because I always give everybody my time, and then we're past the 30 minutes later, and then now I'm late for the next thing. And
Yep. Set the little alarm, because you've already told me. So I'm like, oh yeah, cool, man, totally, that's perfect. Yeah, I've got something going on too. And then there's a timer there. So as soon as it happens, boom. Hey, you know what, Moises, this has been awesome. I'm really enjoying the conversation. And then if you need to rebook another time, you rebook another time. But that's it. You just stick to it, and then it'll keep you accountable to your day. It's all about communication. Cameron, what's the one little thing you're taking away from today?
First thing I was going to say was, I think this was great. I think this format's really good. So I look forward to the future ones. I think the biggest thing I took away was reminding myself to time block even smaller things to do. And I think about when you talk about measurable activities and things that we can control, I also think about like those items being or trying to make those things be things that don't require a lot of thinking, like they've been pre-thought and pre-planned. So it's like, okay, now I just have to pick up the phone and call. There's not a lot of delay to like, let me figure out what I'm going to do about this, marketing brochure, or figure this out. It's already there. Just go do this. And just trying to implement, set those things up like that, I think.
Love it.
Yeah.
Cool. And again, the one thing that I've taken away recently that I've really implemented is when I have multiple things that I have to deal with, I take each one and I compartmentalize them into my calendar, and I block time in my calendar to deal with each thing specifically. So that's one thing that I've taken away that's made a big, big difference, because then I'm able to mentally park that and know that it's going to be dealt with. And then if you just need to communicate, for example, if I get an offer on a Sunday, Travis brings me an offer on a Sunday and he's left it open till 5 o'clock on Monday. Well, guess what? I'm going to reach out to my client. I'm going to say, hey, we've received an offer on the property. What does your schedule look like tomorrow morning? And then I'll book a time on Monday, because Sundays are my day off. I'll book a time with my seller on Monday, and then I'll communicate to you, Travis. I'll say, look, I've received your offer and I'm meeting my client tomorrow morning at 10 a.m. So we'll definitely have a response by the deadline you've given us. Then right? So you're not sitting there, Travis, like waiting all day to hear from me, because I've communicated with you and you know clearly what's going on, and you've communicated that to your client. Now, if we just did that as professionals, it'd be a lot better industry, because you're pretty stoked because you're like, cool, now I have my Sunday to go focus on other things too.
Yeah, it's not sitting in the back of your mind.
Right. Because I've told you this is when I'm going to be dealing with it. So you should get a response back by this time. Then and you can communicate clearly to your client. It's all about communication. And that's going to help make a really big difference in what you guys are doing in your business. So Again, thanks, gentlemen. I really appreciate all of you being on this call, and I'm looking forward to doing more of these. I actually really enjoyed this format too, so this will be good. And we'll have different people running these who have different areas of expertise. So we're looking to bring way more value in 2020 than we did in 2019. So we're just looking to up our game and just help you guys really crush your businesses. So again, I'm looking forward to working with all of you continually.
Thank you so much, Jason. Thank you,
Yeah,
gentlemen.
thanks, guys.
Hey, bye, guys.
Thank you, guys.